Reality Check, also known by his Grammy as Lil Eddie, coming to you live over a system of tubes known as the internet, coming through you through one particular tube known as YouTube. Bring you another day, another broadcast of my irregular show, Spleen Squeezins. Yep. Well, according to this, it's not working. I'm going deaf. I'm old and senile and going deaf. Can't walk, can't do nothing. Not exactly what you call a professional setup. What you gonna do? Okay. It has been 2 days since the election of Donald Trump. It looks like he won the Electoral College, and if you look at a county by county map, he won most of the country. The margin, they're currently saying that Hillary won the. There's currently saying that Hillary won the popular vote, and quite frankly, I have trouble believing that for even a minute. First of all, we've got all the voter fraud that they've caught. Just the voter fraud they've caught. From literally almost every state in the union, they've caught voter fraud. Democrats committing obscene voter fraud, destroying votes, destroying ballots, tearing ballots up, throwing them away, filling them out with fake names. Every variety of it you can imagine. Yes, the electronic voting machines have been caught out glitching out any vote for Trump. So yeah, it boils down to this: they cheated to highest heaven and lowest hell, and still lost. And but even discounting all the voter fraud that went on, I do not believe for a minute that Hillary won the popular vote. Even now, they're still counting the full popular vote. They've got the electoral vote in, so it's already decided for Trump. But they're getting the final counts in, and Hillary's supposed victory is a margin of 300,000 votes, which is barely the population of a good size, a small city. So, dollar to a donut, she lost the popular vote too. And of course, everybody's throwing, all the liberals are out throwing a temper tantrum. It's humiliating. I mean, this is the shame of America. This is the shame of America. that they look at us, they see us a legitimate election took place. They lost, and they are out in the streets literally throwing temper tantrums. They have footage of a woman. They have footage of a Hillary supporter out in the street. She is, a footage of her pissing and shitting. There's no other way to say it. On a picture of Donald Trump, and then smearing it with her hands. Just this, just to, in protest of Trump's election. And I'm like, my God, where are the adults? They should, forget the cops. Somebody grabbed a plank or an old-fashioned school paddle, run up behind her while she was getting ready to squat, and swung for the bleachers. People don't need therapy. They don't need education. They don't need anything except an old-fashioned ass whooping. I know guys that said that he wished he had, if he had a kid, he'd be taking a kid out, letting him see what these people were doing, and tell him, if you ever act like that, I will kill you within an inch of your life. This is appalling. And the college, and the college campuses are, just basically treating them like toddlers, giving them therapy and comfort animals and Play-Doh session. It's appalling. It's disgusting. It's embarrassing. It's the humiliation of the United States before the eyes of the world. We have no one to blame but ourselves. We raised them. Welcome aboard Final Legend Zero. I have not been feeling well the last few days. I'm just exhausted. Just, just tired, just exhausted, just. I think the next time a Walmart has one of those free blood test things, I'm going to go in. Well, whether it's free or not, I'm going to go in and get them to do the whole blood test thing. I've had my blood tested before, for all the things. They test for all the things, for the operations and stuff. My blood sugar's fine, cholesterol's fine, blood iron's fine. I'd love to find out. You need to take more potassium, and you'll shape it up. Wouldn't that be great? Just take a vitamin and everything's fixed. But excuse me. I don't know how well you can hear the music in the background. If you can, say something. If you can't, if it's too loud, if it's too soft, whatever. Uh, and I'm getting real sick of the people saying, well, the election's over, now we all need to make friends again. No, I'm sorry. I have to say it. If I was friends with you and you went out and voted for Hillary Clinton, I'm afraid I'm going to be terribly disappointed in you as a person. I am. And that's not going to change just because the election's over. I can understand to a limit some of the people who are going to, oh, well, I'm going to vote third party. You know, I think they're stupid and gullible because the third party candidates were even worse than Hillary. And I can understand the people who were reluctant to vote for Trump because of his lifestyle and because of his past behavior and all that. But people who voted for Hillary, I'm sorry, the woman, the woman's got human blood on her hands. She is a criminal. She has enabled her husband. Her husband's a rapist, and she spent all these years not only defending him but attacking those that accused him, threatening them. She has the blood of the innocents in Benghazi on her hands. She has, there are a trail of, shall we say, suspicious suicides behind her. She has been involved in crimes ranging from corrupt voter fraud to campaign fraud to charitable fraud, her Clinton Foundation, and all the way ranging all the way up to violations of national security. She should have been in jail a dozen times over. She should have been in prison years ago. And if you ignore all of that and vote for her, oh, but it's, and don't give me, I don't care what reason you voted for her. The reasons to not vote for her, end of discussion. And I'm going to have to look at, I'm going to have to look at you with a great deal of disappointment, and our relationship is going to change. Hello. Half the problem in this country is that 5 minutes after the election, everybody tries to go back to business as usual. No, I did not vote for conservative candidates. I did not vote for Bill Trump. I did not vote for Donald Trump. I did not vote for all the Republican candidates I did. I did not vote for the conservatives just so that they could mend the wounds and heal the divide and reach across the aisle. No, I did not put them in a position of power to compromise with the Democrats. I put Trump in the White House to beat them. I want him to spend every day of the next 4 years beating on the Democrats like there was a redheaded stepchild. I want the Republicans to dedicate every waking moment to thwarting the Democrat agenda. The Democrat Party is not your friends. The Democrat Party is not your friends. The Democrat Party's press is not friends. And no matter what favors you do them, they're not going to like you and invite you to their birthday party. So knock it off. I voted for you. If I wanted somebody to help the Democrats with their agenda, I would have voted for a Democrat. Now we wait to see if Trump can, Trump can talk the talk. Now let's see if he can walk the walk. I get a feeling this is the last chance for the Republican Party, really. Their last chance to pull their heads out of their rear ends and start living up to their campaign promises. This is no longer business as usual. Trump got elected because he was anything but one of them. If they don't get the message, we are going to bounce their asses out. And I got these people who are virtue signaling now. I love it when, Democrats, love to virtue signal. Liberals love to virtue signal. They make gestures and quotes that demonstrate. Oh well, to prove their credentials as liberals. And then you got people who are Christians are just as bad. They get out there and Christians will virtue signal for all they're worth. It's embarrassing. They come out there. We're talking about the election, and they say, "Now remember, Jesus is the reason for the season." They're going. No matter who wins, Jesus is in charge. Well, thank you for that little flag dance for all of us. You've contributed nothing to the discussion, except maybe a vague feeling of annoyance. We have to stop pretending. There may have been a time when the Democrat Party, but really, you go back through the history of the Democrat Party. It's ugly. I mean, you can go all the way back to the Civil War. The Democrats were foundational. They were the ones that supported slavery. They were the ones that started the Ku Klux Klan. So they haven't got a period of history where they were untainted. Voting Democrat means that you have to ignore you have to close your eyes to history, plug your ears to common sense, and hold your nose while you pull the lever. I'm sorry. I'm tired of talking about it. I know you're all tired of hearing me talk about it, but it's just always there. It never stops. People who complain about, well, we'll stop talking politics. The problem is politics doesn't stop talking about you. I'm not interested in politics. Oh, well, good for you. That's rather like a rabbit saying, well, I don't want to sit around talking about that wolf lurking out in the bushes over there. I'm tired of talking. Let's talk about carrots. And then they're sitting around wondering how their ass got bit off. I've made this point before. Everybody complains. They say never talk politics or religion over dinner. Well, the problem is that leaves nothing. We live in a day and age where even talking about the weather is political and or religious. Yeah, the whole environmental movement was a Democrat dream come true. It was a way to blame Republicans for bad weather. And it was environmentalism is the perfect religion for everybody that hates Christianity, because they can all down and love mommy Earth and mommy nature, and they don't have to have any right or wrong, except don't pollute. You know, and no matter how they behave, they can feel good about themselves because they went out there, and it doesn't matter that they covered the football stadium with trash. They were there for Earth Day. You know. Anyway, I'd love to move on to a topic that seems to be the only thing that's happening right now. It really does. It seems to be the only thing happening right now. It's exhausting. It really is. I've been really tuckered out the past few days. It's been a bad week. I am flat broke. I'm constantly flat. I have $1. Literally $1.50 in the bank. That's it. Uh, Still waiting for the guy I hired to come out and finish up the repairs he started. And I'm still behind on my. I haven't paid my lot rent this month or last month, and I've got nothing in the bank. And I still got to pay my taxes for this month. I'm making payments on my back taxes, and I haven't got anything. I repeat, I've got nothing in the bank, and it's stress city. I had a nightmare. We had, when you're older, you don't have nightmares so much. You have unpleasant dreams. I had a dream. I had a job. I got a job. I got hired. $18 an hour. Ooh. I got hired working on an oil. What do you call it? A oil foundry? Not a foundry. Oil. The word's slipping my memory. It's refinery. And my job was supposed to be very simple. That I hooked up the tanker trucks to the pumps and filled it. I can't remember if I was supposed to fill up the tanker trucks or empty the tanker trucks into the tanks. Whatever. Either way. Uh, and I mean, this is very realistic dream. Very, very uh, light. It felt real kind of dream. And and I dreamed I was there for my first 8-hour shift, and struggling to learn, the machinery and stuff to hook this up. I had been recommended for the job for some crazy reason. Here I was to earn some money. I figured it was a training day. I could at least go. And the next thing I know, day one, I'm still struggling to learn, and I dreamed that day two, I was suddenly training a new guy. I hadn't even learned my own job yet, and they gave me a trainee. And I'm foundering because I can't remember all the what all this equipment around me is for. And they finally send out a manager to help out, and and I'm trying to get this guy to tell me what I'm supposed to do, and he had an accent, a southern. He had like a. I guess it was supposed to be a southern accent. It was so thick I couldn't understand a word he said. It's like, and you put it over right there and keep fire. And I'm panicking because I can't. I'm terrified to just walk off because oil refinery. We're in the middle of all this crap. Walk out in the middle of stuff. Boom. And I'm saying, oh God, I have got to get out of here. Oh God, please get me out of here. And I definitely, positively, absolutely am absolutely. This is not the job for me, and I need to leave right now. And that's when I woke up. It is terrifying to look at it. It is terrifying to try and find a job when you don't even know if you have any job skills. I remember when I first got employed, my first hourly paid job was at a McDonald's, and I was scared spitless. I literally was. I didn't know. I was so nervous. I watched the training videos twice to make sure I didn't miss anything. I'd never worked in the I'd had a job at the at work scholarship program at college for 1 year, and I'd made I just ignorant, made a mess of that, and here I am trying to get a job at McDonald's, and I can't even don't know my butt from my elbow, and outside of my artwork, outside of the stories I write and the drawings I do not have marketable skills. And my physical condition means that unskilled labor is pretty much sort of outside the market too. And my dad can't quite my dad's from the age of the 50s where you could go out with put on a nice tie and oh well, this young man's wearing a tie, we'll hire him on the spot. I remember going to he'd make me wear a jacket and tie to go get a job at like a burger barn. I remember applying for a job at Walmart. I'd come in. I had a suit on. I had a suit on. Tie and everything. Guy sitting across the table from me had a rainbow colored mohawk and three safety pins through his ear. Guess who got the job? I'm a little strung right now. Uh, Got another commission from Daniel Meyer. Let's see here. Excuse me. Oh, big yawn. That financial aid, you know, food stamps. That's sad. That I'm proud of. But I came to the conclusion long ago. They've been taxing me. They've been whacking me for taxes year after year after year. Despite the fact that I'm literally hanging by my fingernails from the bottom rung. Thanks, to something, I just all the taxes they take out of my, I've decided to refuse. I refuse to let myself feel guilty about it anymore. Between between income tax and Social Security tax and Medicaid tax and sales tax and property tax and all the licenses and mandatory insurance and all the other things that I am forced by the government to pay for. They've been socking it to me for years, and me getting back a little bit of food stamps, that barely scratches the surface. Heck, I have to pay half of it back in taxes every year. I pay so much in taxes every month to the IRS to pay my back dues, and it amounts to about half of what they give me in food stamps. So I figure sooner or later they're going to cut me off because they're going to decide I'm too white and too rich. So I make the best of it while I can right now. Stock up on long storage stuff, canned goods, dry goods, beans, rice, pasta, flour, cornmeal, baking powder, so on and so forth. Canned goods. Also make a point of buying something, chocolate like cocoa, baker's cocoa, chocolate syrup, because uh, if we, when the economy finally starts, when we finally start really feeling the effects of the ongoing collapse of the dollar, luxury goods like coffee and chocolate, stuff we take for granted for daily, are just gonna disappear off the shelves. They're gonna be too expensive. You know, and I'm sure that a lot of you are laughing at me. Oh, it's never going to get that bad. Ask the people who came out of the Great Depression whether they thought it was going to ever get that bad. Right before the Great Depression, I mean, the Roaring Twenties, they were living high on the hog. Thanks to a laissez-faire government, uh, our country was booming. And then, of course, about the 1920s is about the time that we introduced the income tax, the Federal Reserve, all the other violations of common sense, decency, and I've gone over that before. And then the economy imploded. And rather than, basically what happened is that the stock market crashed. And when the stock market crashed, people panicked and ran on the banks. And the banks, which had been practicing fractional reserve, either shut their doors or imploded because they did not have, they had been passing, they were basically passing out IOUs. This is what happens when a country even partially goes off the when it goes off the gold standard and starts trying to fiddle around with fractional reserve and fiat currency. Now, we weren't completely on fiat currency at that time, but we were, they were they were at a point where they were printing $50 in paper for every $20 they had in precious metals. And so you can guess what happened. It hit the fan. The reason that the Great Depression was so bad is because the government tried to intervene. If they had stayed hands off, the stock market would have corrected itself and everything would have balanced back out. But instead, they panicked. They dove in and started fiddling with things and promptly made everything worse. There are studies on that by conservative economists. It wasn't, the New Deal didn't do anything. Made things worse. And they'll go down the numbers and show you why. But I'm getting off track here. I'm not sure if I had a track. the $10 commissions, I'm still doing them, but I had hoped to make up in bulk. That's not working. As I stated, it's right on the front page. I'm doing the $10 commissions to try and raise enough money to get myself in the black by the end of the year. It's not working. $10 at a time, it's not enough. But nobody seems to want anything else. And I'm really not sure where to go from here. Crap, where's the document? Here we go. I need more. Shit. I just. Come on, computer. Yes, I want to draw in the picture. Come on. Hitting the outer ranges of what I can tolerate. Feels like I'm just treading water. It's times like this when the money isn't coming in and the bills are piling up, and all you've got is a stack of stuff to do that you know that was bought and sold weeks or months ago, and all you're doing is catching up, and you're just basically running on fumes. Uh, uh, these times are hard, and you're so broke you can't even buy a chocolate bar to soothe your nerves for 5 minutes. All you can do is sit there, and it's bad when you're a junk food junkie. You sitting there and you think, if I had, and you go, if I just hadn't bought that pizza, if I hadn't spent this, there's, just useless thinking right there. Thinking about how you'd have plenty of money for this, that, or the other if you hadn't done this, that, or the thing before. And it kind of pisses me off. But it's a little vexing when you realize that you know it doesn't help to think of it. It doesn't help to think of the fact that you are living on margins that other people consider pocket change. It's I guess it's the ugly color of envy, I suppose. You're in the grocery store stressing out over how to make you know you're at the store. You're trying to decide. You're trying to make $10 stretch to fit 20. You know, and you realize that for half the people around you, $20 is lunch. The soul of the sluggard desireth and hath nothing. Don't be like me. I'm going to spend the rest of my life regretting the choices I made or didn't make when I was in my teens and 20s. Old age is a terrible place to spend all your time regretting. Oh, yes. Apparently, we've got a majority of conservatives in the judiciary already. Yeah, things are looking good for the country. I'm just speaking personally. It's going to take a little while for all that to trickle down personally. You know what I'm saying? Let's see. Everything's slowing down here. There's a fellow that wants me, Lord Vixicus. He wants me to do a writing, a critique of the fanfic Pony POV. I've read part of it. It's a huge beast of a fanfic, and I gotta say, I'm not sure he wants me to do this because I really didn't like it. Uh, he basically turns Celestia, Luna, and Discord into God mode Sues. The author does. To the degree that everybody else, every other character is irrelevant to the story, because in fact, a good chunk of the story is about how Celestia, Luna, and Discord all together erased, that in the original draft of the universe, they got fed up with how and erased everybody from existence so that they could start over again. And they've apparently got some sort of entity of their around uh, people out, retconning characters out of existence in their universe because it doesn't fit in right. Basically made the only characters that matter are Celestia, Luna, and Discord, and they are and even they aren't as God mode Sue as the original things they've thrown in. It's just not good. It's just the I've complained about God mode Sue versions of Celestia for ages. Okay, she's not supposed. I don't like the idea of her supposed to be a deity at all. And some of the bullshit logic, for lack of bizarro world logic people come up with to justify the fact that they still classify her as a deity. She's not even the most powerful creature in Equestria, much less on their planet. And yet they it's I find it offensive as a Christian. I find it offensive too. You know, look down your nose at me for that all you like. I'm checking my email at the moment. I get a new microwave too. My old microwave. I have a microwave. It is like it was like 20 years old, and it finally gave up the ghost. Doesn't work at all now. And that's really crazy. I have a stove. Don't have an oven. I have a toaster oven and a little plug-in burner that I can use to cook stuff. And I had my microwave, and now I don't even have the microwave, and that's just sort of shutting me down. Wouldn't you know, I stocked up on little microwave thingies, little microwave macaroni and cheese things. I got tons of ramen, microwave ramen dishes and microwave macaroni and cheese and no microwave. Just not a happy camper right now about that. Yeah, my point exactly. Final Legend Zero. I don't like Yeah, I find it offensive when they try and claim that they're deities. They're not supposed to be deities, and it really chafes my butt that they that they let that insinuation slide through. Of course, you could say that this panders to the millennial taste. This is what millennials want. They want an omnipotent mommy figure. Now, speaking of that, as a company's what's his name? Anyway, a commentator on the men going their own way phenomenon. Uh, Black Pigeon, I believe his name is. But anyway, he was talking. He said he had a friend of his. The comment where they talk about how his rant was titled "Who is the man child?" And he said he was talking with a friend of his, about the whole red pill phenomenon, right? And he had a friend of his who is married and well whipped, and the married guy was going on, oh well, a man really needs you can't be a man until you're married, and he said because it's women make and he started talking about how his wife made sure he ate right and made sure he dressed right and made sure that he made sure that he was you know uh civilized him basically, and he listened, and Black Pigeon looked at him and he said, wait a minute here, you're calling me a man child for living out on my own, but who is this woman to you? Is she your wife or your mommy? That sort of makes a good point. Is that everybody mocks these men who these bachelors who don't get married, live on their own, live the way they please, and call them man children. But it's these it's the blue pill men, the ones that go along to get along, go along with the whole feminized society. They need their they all they can talk about is how they need their wives there to make sure that they dress right and that they eat right and that they're properly groomed. And tell me again who the man child is. Think about it. That's the man child, the man who manages to live on his own and make his own way, or the man who needs uh, his surrogate mommy to say. I've known men like that. I've known at least one man like that. He was he was the music director of my father's first church, He was he was a limp fish. He was he even called his wife mommy. You know, it was pathetic. He just manliness. Just did not reside with the man. It was pitiful. Sweet guy, nice guy, but just nothing manly about the man. What else can you say? I definitely do not claim to be any sort of strapping example of masculinity myself. But this guy he just he was a weenie. He was. The women in the church just steamrollered him. It was sad because you had he was supposed to be music director, right? The music director, and the women in church. We had two. We had his wife played the piano. His wife played the organ, rather, and there was one other woman. This woman was a troublemaker from the start. I knew what she was. I wish I had believed my own instincts the first time I'd seen her. I wasn't even 12, and I knew, oh Lord, this is one of these women that thinks she runs the church. And just the way she walked and talked and carried herself, and even the way she played piano, she just knows in the air, no lie, no exaggeration. And but anyway, he would lead the music, and neither woman would follow his conducting. The one on the piano would play at her own pace, and the one on the organ would play at her own pace. And he would be there trying to lead the music, and three different, just complete discord. It was sad. It was if we'd have had half the, I think if we'd have had, if we'd been just a little bit more experienced back in those days, Dad would have taken one look and ran for the door. But no, he became the pastor there for several years, and it ended badly. You know, chaos, flames, destruction, the whole works. I suppose it was a painful part of it was one of those painful parts of growing up, learning the hard way that the local church isn't inhabited by angels, and that the inside of the church is just as tumultuous and torn up and filled with strife as anything outside the doors. What a pitiful thing we can be. Don't think for a minute, and don't think for a minute you can't go that way yourself. That you can't end up being a dead stick in a dead, in a dead church. Ichabod, the glory is departed. Oh, I'm hurting. You know what sounds good right about now? Grilled cheese sandwich and a bowl of tomato soup. All things I used to eat when I was a kid. It's one of the things that I still love. I don't eat it very often, though. That's the thing of it. It's probably why I like it so, still like it so much. I haven't made myself sick of it. But, tomato soup. I don't like eating straight tomatoes. I don't like eating. It took me a long time before I could get to where I could eat a tomato slice in a sandwich. I like them now in a sandwich, but these people that can pick up a tomato and throw some salt in it, arm, 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 arm. I was just, ugh, no. But tomato soup, tangy Campbell's soup, grilled cheese sandwich on the side. Feeling kind of funky at the moment. Craving something caffeinated, really. Something chocolatey too. I've been trying to hit my cravings with hot cocoa. It's about really the only thing I can fix at the moment. Is just not quite doing it. I'm guzzling my way through the hot cocoa, and it's not a good idea. I had $20 in the bank yesterday, and the lawnmower guy shows up and tells me that the lot supervisor, the trailer park supervisor, says gotta get one more mow in. So there went that 15. There went that $20. Gone just as soon as I got it. Seriously. Yeah, I've heard that one before. You've noticed a large number of people implying with bad jokes and anecdotes that Louisiana Cajuns ain't smart. I would like to state for the record that I disagree with that assessment. Anyone who can build a city 5 feet below sea level in a hurricane zone and fill it with Democrats who can't swim is a dang genius. Yeah, that was, yeah. Oh, boy. I'm sitting here trying to figure out how to raise $400 or $500. Best I can come up with is shaking the tin cup some more. That's all I got. It's pathetic. Really, all these people that saying we should learn to get along with the, you know, the election's over. We need to get along with our friends. We shouldn't be making enemies out of it. Just how horrible does a politician have to be before the people who elected them are accountable? Just think about that. Think long and hard about that. They make fun. There were people that compared Obama to Hitler, and and they got a lot of mockery by various groups. They got mocked. Excuse me, but I haven't seen anything. They oh well, the Democrats said the same thing about Bush. Yeah, because it was crap. It was a load of crap. I don't see anybody refuting the comparison. That's the thing of it. Nobody stops and thinks. I'm sorry. Let's go over it. Obama, socialist, nationalized. He's basically a national socialist. Hitler, national socialist. Obama, federalized health care. Hitler federalized health care and everything else. Obama federalized health care, the banks, and took a good shot at the automotive industry. Hitler, one of his platforms, federalizing everything. And let's talk about race issues. The Democrat Party founded the Ku Klux Klan. They had a Grand Kleagle of the Ku Klux Klan, Senator Byrd, who they lauded and feted and called the conscience of the Senate. Let's dance to that mambo for a while. Hostile towards Jews and Christians, hostile towards Jews and Christians. Look at the wreck that Obama made of our relationship with the nation of Israel. I don't care if you call me a religious nut for thinking that America should have good relationships with Israel. Israel is the only democracy in that entire region. It's the only one it's the only nation there that respects human rights. Quite frankly, we've been giving them the shaft, because for every dollar, we give them all sorts of financial aid, but then we turn around and give their enemies twice as much. Hello? That's no way to treat a friend. So yeah, the comparison between Obama and the Democrats and Hitler and the National Socialist Party is legitimate. Right down to the fact that race baiting to get his election. He used blacks the way Hitler used Aryan pride to manipulate the Germans. Hello, ring-a-ding-ding. Pick up the clue phone, people. So yeah, I don't apologize for comparing Obama to Hitler or the Democrats to Nazis. And let's be honest here. Are the people who willingly vote for Nazis, are they or are they not accountable? For what happens when creatures like the Nazis get in power? especially as so many of them behave like the brown shirts. What are they doing right now? What are these poor, misunderstood Hillary supporters doing right now? They're out there rioting. Those that aren't going into ridiculous, hysterical crying jags. Oh, and newsflash: Hillary is not the first candidate. She's not the first female candidate for president. We've had at least two or three over the course of history. So please shut up about that right now. You are not, uh, on the edge of a revolutionary moment in history. You weren't even close. You were closer when you tried to claim Clinton was the first black president. Excuse me. Got distracted for a moment, thinking some things through. Excuse me. They don't know. The people that buy into the idea that Nazis were right wingers are people who don't know what right winger means. Hey, look, yeah, I've heard about the Silicon Valley. They're petitioning to have California secede from the Union. I'm fine with it. Look, if California wants to secede, bye bye. If Texas wants to secede, take me with you. Uh, the states have a right to secede from the Union, the same as the Union had the right to secede from the British Empire. And you don't need to be a constitutional scholar to figure that out. You just need to have some common damn sense. If we had the right to leave the British Empire because of irreconcilable differences, then the states have the right to leave us. Abraham Lincoln is praised way too much for quote unquote saving something that didn't need saving. For ending something that he had nothing to do with. Anyway, if California left the Union, what would that do to us? It would lighten our load. That's all it would do. They've been nothing but a moral and financial drag on this country for decades. Let them. Let them leave. All those people. I love how all the people who promised to leave and go to Canada are now like, oh well, we're going to stay and fight. With what? Yeah, like I've seen one meme say all you gun, all you anti-gun people talking about screaming about wanting a revolution. Anti-gun people screaming they want a revolution. And caption goes, "What are you going to fight with? Dildos and bongs?" I wouldn't put it past them. They're that dipshitty. We're talking about people who poop in public as part of their demonstrations. It's oh, there's nothing ironic about their racism. It's called self-hatred. Social justice warriors. What can be said about them? How did they happen? What force holds them together? What common glue adheres them into one piece? They're children. They're overgrown children. Already addressed this fact. The feminists, the social justice warriors, the progressive, they're all the progressives, the millennials, whatever you want to call them. As a group, they're children. You go back 20 years. You go back 20 years. That's about the time that they started pushing, really pushing daycare and early school for kids, and they started people started dumping their children into these holding pens, these toddler holding pens for by the thousands, by the millions. They grew up in a nursery school, Animal Farm, Lord of the Flies time, and they never grew up because they were never socialized by their parents. They never bonded with their mother and their father the way they were supposed to. You remember the whole "Who Needs a Man"? Oh well, there you go. Between dumping them in daycare and giving their fathers the boot out the door, this entire generation was never raised by adults. And unsurprisingly, we expected them to socialize in school and learn how to be civil. Who they socialize with? Other children. And so here they are. They've never learned to be adults. Some of them are tragic. For the large part, it's tragic. It's heartbreaking. They're the walking wounded. But now they've started becoming a threat to civilization because they are adults. They are in the demographic they are supposed to be. They're supposed to be adults. They're supposed to be taking responsibility for themselves and for their lives. They don't know how. They don't know how to lose. They don't know how to behave civilly, and they don't. And the only way they know how to react with adversity is to throw a temper tantrum, like a little child desperate for attention, sitting in the corner of the nursery school, of the daycare center. One care provider there and 20 kids, and the only way they can get any of the attention they desperately need is to scream and throw a fit and throw things. We were warned. We were warned that this would be the result. We were warned that a generation raised by strangers and given no care, no real parental figures, that they would grow up and they would be malformed, they would be maladjusted, and here they are. The daycare generation is now adults, or voting age at least, and they don't know how to be adults. We've had that problem, there have always been people like that in every generation, but we made an industry out of it. And here we are. They're still operating on kindergarten logic. Everything should be fair. Everybody should get a cookie. Give me my participation trophy. This is what they say. You remember the original Willy Wonka, when Veruca Salt, met met her demise in the game. What the Oompa Loompa saying? Who is to blame? The mother and the father. These poor bastards grew up no mother or father around. Men are, and we can talk again about men's issues. For well on to 40 years, young men have been told basically that they are superfluous. Who needs a man? The young men that are out there today in this society, most of them watch their mothers cheat on their fathers, divorce their fathers, throw their fathers out of the home, and then were brainwashed about how everything was the fault of the father. They were already the walking wounded. Basically, as I understand, the term cuckold or cuck is used nowadays to describe the fact that people who ought to know better are letting social justice warriors and the politically correct walk all over us. Because, we don't want to offend them, we don't want to upset them, we don't want to lose their vote. This is why every time the Republicans gain a foothold, a stronghold. Uh, I remember back in 2005, we had a Republican president, Republican Congress, Republican, right down the line, and and their reaction to being, to the reaction of the Republican Party to having a mandate from the people, to being in the majority. They bent over, grabbed their ankles, and screamed, "Be gentle with me!" They could not move fast enough to give the Democrats everything they wanted. And when people got disgusted with that and voted them out of office, they could get the message. Republican gets voted out of office, they decide, gee, we weren't liberal enough. Democrat gets voted out of office, they think the same thing. Gee, we weren't liberal enough. They're going to watch the Trump presidency. They're going to look at it and, we don't understand. This guy's offering everything that we hate. Why is everybody voting for him? I think that Trump is God's way of saying this is your last chance. What is humiliating is the fact that we have had people, uh, candidates who have claimed to be God-fearing Christians, and they're just as unreliable. They're even more unreliable than the ones who fold under pressure because they never even make it to the election. What good are you? What good are you if what good are all your Christian convictions if they won't sustain you long enough to run for president? You're useless. Your tits on a boar. Don't come running screaming to me, oh, Trump is not, Trump is, this horrible secular person with all these, raunchy, terrible personal habits and bad behavior and yeah, and you're a good little church going pious Christian with no guts. Every time there has been an outspoken Christian candidate, uh, you know, you know, they fold. I watched the last 3 or 4 elections. There would be an outsider, a guy coming up from the outside, uh, you know, solid personal life, clean record, staunch conservative, and they toss, they toss over and give up before the primaries were even done. I'm like, what use are you? There were a ton of other people I would have rather voted for than Trump that were, early on in the election, but they disappointed me greatly. Uh, no guts, no guts. They're too busy being nice, trying to be polite and friendly, and just reach across the aisle. Quit trying to reach across the aisle. We're not trying to reach across the aisle. We're shooting across the trenches. We're dealing with a party. We are dealing with an opposition party that has as its foundation the seeds, everything that made the National Socialists of Germany the horror that they were. And we're too busy trying to compromise and get along with them. I'm sick of trying to get along with the Democrats. I don't want a candidate. I don't want presidential candidates who are trying to be a good Christian neighbor and get along with the enemy. Your notion of what it means to be a Christian is sorely lacking. Being a Christian doesn't mean going along to get along. It doesn't mean compromise. It doesn't mean uh, trying you know trying to coddle people who are out to slit your throat. It's not the accusations coming from the Democrats I care about. It's the accusation coming from other Christians, other conservatives, other Republicans. They say, "Oh well, you're not being like Christ. You're not being like Jesus and being friendly." How well did Jesus get along with his with the opposition? They nailed him to a cross because they hated him that much. What we get is a bunch of people who get in there, start running for office, and oh my gosh, you mean they hate me? They get in there, they don't get that they're trying to fight by the Marquis of Queensberry rules. Keep your chin up and no punching below the belt and and they don't realize they're in a dirty back alley brawl. And the guy they're trying, and the guy they're prancing around is getting ready to stab him in the kidneys with a shiv. Let's stop trying to meet them halfway. Let's just for a change, let's see them finally have to meet us halfway. I've noticed that every time there's a compromise, it's us that's compromising. No more. Quit fraternizing with the enemy. We didn't elect Republicans to get along with the Democrats. We elected Republicans to beat them. So this is forgive me. I'm just keyed up, cranky, grumpy, angry, sneezy, dopey, doc. You know. I've had people are mad at me. People get then they come down off of Mount Pompous Ass and proceed to proclaim that, oh, this isn't science. You're attacking evolution. That means you're anti-science, and you're ignoring all the science. It's not science just because you call it that, okay? Your beliefs are not science just because you call them that. You're ignoring all the science of the last 200 years, and I'm like, we're not the ones trying to, we're not the ones trying to claim that the law of entropy ran backwards. That's what's required for evolution to work as a concept. And you know what their latest argument is? Oh well, we know that there's an infinite number of universes out there somewhere, and that infinite number of probabilities, and therefore we're just the ones that worked out. No proof of their the usual infinite monkeys, infinite typewriters argument. You know that one. You notice they don't even bother to prove whether they argue the infinite monkeys argument, but they have no proof that they even exist. But they're going to exist. That proves it, because science. They insist they have no evidence there is an infinite number of universes. But it makes their philosophy work out on paper. So science. And even if there were an infinite number of universes, that doesn't mean that everything is possible. There are an infinite number of numbers between 0 and 1. Okay? Mathematically speaking, there are an infinite number of fractions or numbers between 0 and 1. But no matter how long you look, you are never going to find 2 there. Not even infinity makes everything possible. And they don't even know they have infinity to work with in the first place. And the half-acidness that they come up with to justify. You point out that this violates entropy. This violates the first 3 laws of thermodynamics. Having random, no matter how much time you take, it's still a violation of the laws of thermodynamics. Having random molecules come together and form planets, stars, oceans, protein molecules, and then form into a single-celled organism that goes on to become a man. Molecules to man. It's still, no matter how many steps you take and no matter how long you take, it's still a violation of thermodynamics. And I have heard people try and pull this one out of their rear end. oh well, all the molecules to man stuff happened here on this teeny tiny little bitty planet, while the rest of the universe, entropy was going in the normal direction. So that so the numbers all balance out, and they call that science. Outside of the sheer stupidity of that, I'm sorry. If you have a house with 200 rooms, and if you let 199 rooms just go to hell and get filthy, that doesn't mean the last room is going to spontaneously clean itself up. Entropy doesn't work like that either. And third, even by their own model, the rest of the universe is not, by their own model, the rest of the universe is not sliding, sliding in the opposite direction while our planet gets, where life over on this one little planet over here gets more complex. The scales are not balanced. The entire universe, according to the evolutionary model, went from a formless mass, a singularity, and became stars, planets, galaxies, solar systems, spinning in an endless array of cosmic intricacy. That's still entropy running the wrong direction. They don't want to hear the data. They don't want to believe in God. They don't want to believe in Jesus. They don't want to believe that they are sinners in need of Jesus' salvation. And so they will believe anything else so long as it gives them an escape, an out from having to turn around and face God Almighty. They'll deny it to their dying breath, but that's the truth of it. They don't want to admit that there is a creator because that means they have somebody to be accountable to. It's human nature to want to believe that you can do whatever you want and nobody cares. I have to get up every morning and I have to go to bed every night and I have to confess the sins that I have committed that day. Because of that, it is the nature of humanity. And until Christ returns, we are all fallen creatures, all terribly difficult to get along with. And we are very hard to convince of anything we don't want to believe. Me, I'm without excuse. I know the truth. I believe it. So I have to get on my face before God every morning. My sins are forgiven. I accepted Him as Savior long ago. He is my Savior, my God. Confession is for our sake, to remind us who we are and what we have been redeemed from. and to strengthen our relationship with Him. This little light of mine, it may flicker, and it may gutter, and it may shed little light sometimes, but it will never go out. God have mercy on me, a sinner. Evolution is childish foolishness. It is nothing more than trying to play make believe. They're trying to make believe that the world happened by accident. Mm. I'm really starting to get tuckered out. Running out of steam fast. Always do these days. Yeah, that's not. It's a cameo. The old farts in their species tend to get those big bushy eyebrows and beards. Bushy eyebrows of doom. I'd make up some Kool-Aid, but I had to destroy my pitcher for something else. My pitcher got ruined. I can't use it. Gotta get a new pitcher. Gotta get a new pitcher. Gotta get a new microwave. Yeah, I think my tank's about empty. Dozing off in my seat. Gonna call it a day. Try and pick up either tomorrow or Monday, and we'll start where we left off. Thank you all for watching. Please, if you can, toss a buck in the hat. Times are tight. I'll see you all later.